There is a moment in the Bhagavad Gita that arrives before philosophy, before instruction, before any resolution. It is a moment of stopping. The battlefield is already formed. The roles are already assigned. The expectations are already clear. And yet, Arjuna does not move. This pause is important, not because it is heroic, not because it is spiritual, but because it is human. Here, duty is not abstract. It has names, faces, shared memories. Arjuna looks across the field and sees teachers who once guided him, relatives who shaped his childhood, friends who once stood beside him, not against him. The conflict is no longer about victory or defeat. It becomes personal. And in that moment, something inside him begins to break down. His body responds before his thoughts do. His limbs feel weak, his mouth dries, his breath becomes shallow. The bow slips from his hand. This is not a philosophical argument, yet this is the nervous system reacting to unbearable complexity. The Gita does not rush past this. It does not correct him immediately. It does not tell him to be strong. It does not accuse him of cowardice. Instead, it lets us sit inside this confusion. Because this is often where real conflict begins. Not in ignorance, not in lack of ability, but in the collision between responsibility and feeling. Arjuna is not confused because he does not know what his duty is. He is confused because he knows it too well. And what he feels stands in direct opposition to what he is expected to do. Arjuna's confusion is not presented as a flaw. This is subtle but important. The text does not describe him as weak-minded. It does not dismiss his hesitation as failure. Instead, it shows us what happens when the mind is forced to hold two truths at once. On one side, there is duty, a role shaped by circumstance, training, and responsibility. On the other side, there is emotion, attachment, memory, fear of irreversible loss. Arjuna does not deny either. He does not pretend the situation is simple. He does not numb himself. And this is precisely why the conflict becomes overwhelming. When duty and emotion align, action feels natural. When they clash, the mind searches for escape. Arjuna begins to question the value of action itself. What is the point of victory if it is achieved through destruction? What meaning remains if those we care about are lost? These are not philosophical questions yet. They are expressions of grief trying to reason its way out. The text allows these thoughts to surface fully. There is no judgment here, only exposure. This matters because many traditions rush toward answers. The Gita pauses. It shows confusion as something that arises not from moral failure, but from caring deeply in a situation where no outcome feels clean. This kind of confusion does not disappear through force. It needs to be seen. Often, when we experience inner conflict, a second problem appears. We judge ourselves for having it. We think we should be clearer, stronger, less affected. Arjuna does this too. He begins to criticize his own reactions. He questions whether his emotions have made him unfit for action. But notice something important. The Gita does not immediately agree with this self-judgment. Krishna does not interrupt to say, "You should not feel this way." Instead, he allows Arjuna to speak fully. This is not indulgence. It is recognition. Before clarity can emerge, confusion must be acknowledged without resistance. Judging confusion only tightens it. When emotion is treated as an enemy, it does not disappear. It goes underground. Here, Arjuna's honesty becomes the doorway forward. By naming his fear, his sorrow, and his unwillingness, he creates space for understanding rather than suppression. The text invites us to see this moment not as weakness, but as the threshold between unconscious reaction and conscious action. Confusion, in this sense, is not a mistake. It is a signal, a sign that something deeper is asking to be examined. This episode of the Gita does not resolve immediately, and that is intentional. Arjuna does not suddenly become calm. He does not receive instant clarity. What changes first is not the situation, but his willingness to remain present with it. He stops trying to escape the discomfort. He does not act, but he also does not run. This is a quiet kind of courage. The text shows us that there are moments when action must wait, not because we are incapable, but because understanding has not yet settled. When duty conflicts with emotion, the answer is not to erase one side. It is to hold both long enough for a deeper clarity to emerge. The Gita does not ask us to stop feeling. It does not ask us to abandon responsibility. It asks for something more demanding: to see clearly without distortion, to allow emotion to be present without letting it decide blindly, to allow duty to remain without becoming mechanical. In Arjuna's pause, we see ourselves, not at our best, not at our worst, but at our most honest. And the text suggests that this honesty is not an obstacle to wisdom. It is where wisdom begins. There is no instruction yet, only presence. And sometimes that is enough to begin.